Hi YouTube, Wes Stample here, JWS Repair Service. Today we've had some requests from some of the viewers that you would like to see what it takes to recover a seat. Seats are something very important to you, or parts of you. Anyway, we're going to be rebuilding a seat today, so stay tuned and we'll show you what it takes to do that. We'll be right back with you. Okay. Today we're going to be recovering a seat for a older Polaris Scrambler. Before you want to start on this, first off, you need to make sure that you can get a cover for whatever your bike is. Make, model, the year are very important. There's a lot of sources for seat covers these days, which is great compared to what it used to be. But it's fairly basic on the items and tools that you're going to need to do it. I'm just going to show you a couple of tips on the techniques of how to do it properly. So first off, as you can see, our old cover is, well, it's not there anymore. The owner, when he brought it in, he'd already removed the cover and then brought me a new one. We'll show you that in a minute. But first off, you need to prep everything. You can see we still have a little bit of the old cover on here. And the foam on this seat pan is not attached, so we can actually take that off and move it out of the way. And then we're going to flip this over. Now we need to remove all of the old staples, any part of the old cover that's still on here. And it's pretty simple. You need a good flat blade screwdriver, preferably a small one, so that you can get it around in small areas. And then you need, I use dikes or angle cutters just to be able to grab better. You can use pliers. But this seems to grip the staples a little bit better. But you need to have every one of the staples and any part of the old cover that was still present. We need to get rid of that so that we can put our new cover on. So to get these out, I generally start on the side that still has a little bit of cover, if you've got that, and just pry underneath. And you're going to want to go you're going to need to go all the way around this. I usually just try to get half of it up, if I can, just to move it out of there. And then I'm probably going to time lapse this just for the sake of the video, because it does take a little bit, and I think you get the idea. So we'll be back after the time lapse and I've got the old cover off. Okay, we're back. Now, off camera, I had to drill rivets out right here for this latch that they put on to hold the seat down. Now, most four-wheelers, motorcycles, are not going to have something like this that's riveted on. They're going to have, if they've got anything, it's going to be, it'll just be bolted on so you can remove it. But Polaris, in their infant wisdom, and I did mean infant, by the way, decided to put that on with rivets. And since the cover, they stapled the cover on and then riveted it over it. So I really didn't have much of a choice than to remove that to be able to get the old cover off, and so I can get the new cover on and then rivet that back. So anyway, that's what I did. The rest of it you saw, just taking all the staples out and making sure everything's gone, it's cleaned up and whatever. Now, I am using a pneumatic stapler. You can use a manual hand staple gun, but you're going to need to use at least a staple gun. You can use an electric. I used to use an electric, and this is an upholstery gun. You can see it's got a really long extended tip here. They used to make an electric like that. I believe it was a Arrow made it, one like that, but I haven't been able to find one in quite a while, so I ended up having to go to a pneumatic because my old Arrow broke. So that's it. You're going to want to use a 1/4-inch staple. You don't want anything really longer than that because you don't want to go through the pan and then also through the seat cover. So you want to make sure you're getting it just through the seat cover we fold over and the seat pan, but you don't want to just make it too long where you can get places where you can feel it come through. So you're going to want to start by placing the seat cover on there. Now we're going to place the foam first. We're going to take the cover, and it's pretty easy to tell which is the front and which is the back. This rounded section is the back. This is the front where it's narrower. Let me move this up just a little bit. There we go. This is the front where it's narrower. We're going to place that on the front of the pan. We'll place the back loosely over the back of the pan. And then that's where we're going to center it by making sure that any corners or lines that you have or seams that are made into the cover, you're going to make sure that those are nice and straight. So I'm going to hold down. It's one good thing about having the belly is that I can use that to hold stuff down. So that works pretty good. So if you got a nice beer belly, it'll help you with this. But anyway, what we're going to do is have this fall apart. It does kind of suck when the foam just falls off because then it's hard to get your alignment correct. But we're going to pull it up and get it as centered as we can. I've got two lines or two seams right here. I'm going to try to get those in the exact same place on here. And then we're going to throw just a couple of staples into that and make sure we're not shooting through that. Okay. Now we'll pull over. I'm going to flip it over. We'll pull it down and fold it underneath. Then we're going to give that a couple, just right in the middle, like so. And then we're going to kind of check our alignment and make sure that we're straight. And then we can start working our way around the cover and stretching it and stapling it down so we can make sure that we get a nice good cover when we get finished with it. So corners are a problem. They're kind of an art form. The way you have to get the material to fold and make it look good with no, you can see that You just kind of have to work it around until you get it to where it's smooth and you can get all of the lines out of it so that it's nice and smooth. You don't have wrinkles, but we'll worry about that when we get it set up and get it more squared away. Now, our alignment looks pretty good. I'll show you that. Let me move this in a little bit. Okay, you can see our alignment pretty good. I'm just feeling the edge of the foam here, and I'm making sure that it's laying down where you can feel where that roundness of the foam is. So that feels pretty good. So I think we're good and square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this side over. I'm going to give that a couple just to hold it. And that's kind of the way you want to do it. You want to not put a whole bunch in on one side first. You're going to want to put a couple in, check your alignment, check your tightness, and then just keep working it around. And always you'll see I'm doing opposites as well. So I did, front, back, this side, that side, but basically in the same place. So they're directly across from each other. All right, we'll pull this up. We'll give this a couple. The same thing on this side. I'm going to pull that tight. Alright, and that's our basic seat cover right there. That's what we've got so far. Now we can worry about the little detail stuff like the corners and getting it nice and tight and getting the slack out. So we're gonna work on that next. I usually just like to start up here at the front section because it's so long and the foam is thin, so you don't have a lot to be able to pull on right there. If you're going to run into problems, it's going to be in this section because there's not a lot of foam to mash down and make it tight. So we're gonna get this first. I'll go to the opposite side, pull it tight, mash it down. Like that. You can see now we've got a, let me move this down a little bit so you can see. We got straight lines on either side of our cover. Everything's aligned and nice. So now we can try to get one of these corners up here where it's, well actually this isn't a corner as much as it's rounded, but I think you know what I'm talking about. We're going to try to get this to set down so that we've got a nice smooth corner there, and you'll see that the cover is smooth, and I'm pulling this pretty tight here, and you've got to fold it somewhere. So we're going to put a couple staples there. Do the same thing on this corner because we're working opposites. Fold that. Okay, now you can see we've got our corners rounded off, and we will do the back corners. And once we get the back corners done, basically all we're going to need to do is tighten up the sides. Actually, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to give this some. I'm going to pull this over. And that can't go there. Whoops, that shot all the way through. It's the only problem with the pneumatic one is that they can just shoot that. I've got it turned down pretty far, but they can just shoot the staples all the way through the cover. I mean, usually that's not a big problem, but you've got plenty of cover. I might have to actually get this on past the nails to staple strip because of where the edge is that I can actually staple into. And that is where we're going to end up putting all the staples. All these on the inside are basically, this is the strip that they ideally would want you putting the staples through, but on this one there's such a narrow edge for it to actually go to. The cover's a little bit bigger. I'm going to have to actually just put it through the cover itself, which is actually more times than not is how it happens anyway. So sometimes you get lucky. This side it's going to let me for some of it. Okay, we have a kink in it right there, so we're going to have to get that out. Not too hard to get those out. Oh, excuse me. In a worst case scenario, you can just pull the staple out if it's got a a little bit of an unevenness to it, and move the cover until you can get it smooth, which is what I'm going to do right now. And if you pull staples out, be sure you get them off the bench or the table or whatever you're working on, because I have had it happen before where I had the staple come out. Oh great, that actually just shot right through that cover and made a hole in it. Alright, we're gonna see if we can get this next to it. Not the end of the world. As you can see, I was able to just put those staples a little bit closer and cover up the hole. So it's still a little bit uneven on this back row, but that's okay because we're going to put this out in the sun and let it get hot, and it will smooth these wrinkles out. So you don't have to have it 100%. You need to have it pretty close to fully squared away, but it doesn't have to be all the way. It's just got to be, it's not going to take out huge errors, but it will take out small ones when it stretches. Now we're just going to fill this in, going around, and then we'll be ready to trim the cover so that it will fit back on the machine. I'm just pulling it down and working my way around. If you're working on yours, you've got some different hardware or latches that you took off. You just need to place those back on. Obviously, I'll be putting the rivet latch back on this one, but you don't need to see that because that's not really going to do you any good. But that's a seat cover replacement. And this happened, like I said, this happens to be on an older Polaris four-wheeler. Any of this little stuff right here, oh, that's just dirty. There might be a little bit of a bubble in that. When you put it out, if you can put it out in the sun, if you happen to be doing this in the wintertime and it's kind of cold, you can also use a heat gun or a hairdryer and just kind of go over the parts where there might be wrinkles in it. And as long as there's nothing major in there, you need to try to get it as straight as you possibly can and get it down as tight as you can and as little of wrinkles in it. But some small stuff, like where it was folded in the package, things like that, you can set those out in the sun. It just doesn't take very long, maybe an hour or so. If it's as hot as it is here today, about 20 seconds will be fine. But you can do that. You can use a hairdryer, or you can gently use a heat gun if you have a heat gun. That's all I've got for you today. We appreciate you watching. Catch us for more videos, more instructional videos. If you've got any ideas for something you'd like to see, just like this came in from a viewer as a suggestion of something they wanted to see, feel free to leave that in the comments and we'll see if we can make that happen. All of the units we work on, all of the things we work on here, the repairs that you see are customer units that are in the shop for service. This is the way we get them. I feel like it brings you a better experience of what you might be able to expect a little bit more on your machine. So sometimes you make suggestions, it may take a little bit for us to get that something close enough to that, so bear with us. But if you liked this video, if you found it helpful, please feel free to hit the like button if you would. It would really help us a lot. And also, if you'd like to see more content like this, hit the subscribe button. It's free to you and it really helps us build our channel. We've hit several milestones lately. I really appreciate all the viewers out there and the support. And if you want to make sure you get in on the next time we upload a video, hit that notification bell and you'll be one of the first to know. Thanks for watching. Have a great one.